So after our last SAINTCON committee call, not the last one, the one before, you said come up with ideas, and I came up with one, and I bounced it off a few people, and everybody's liked it. So we're just gonna do it, even without your permission. But pseudo get your permission because here you are, and I'm roping you in. So
Okay, great. Let's do it.
high level here is security conferences. I do a lot of them. Not this year, obviously, for some reason. I'm not sure. They keep getting canceled. But I typically do a lot of security conferences. And what I do is I look at the schedule. I circle the cool talks I want to go to. And I circle ones that I have buddies or friends or anything that's interesting. And that's what I plan my day. And then the rest of the time I sit in the hallway. And it turns into hallway con, and I end up with just good conversation with lots of people. Some people I know, some people I don't, some people who become new friends. So I'm thinking we're just going to do a SAINTCON hallway series. I don't know how many people will watch it, but what hopefully it'll spiral into is next year when we can meet again, they'll say like, oh, you like dinosaurs too, Troy? So do I. And we'll have some little niche there to talk about and, continue to build this community. So you are an unwilling participant because you don't know what to be expected here. But I'm just going to shoot some questions at you. We might edit it. We might not. I don't know. So we'll figure how it goes. Sound good for you?
I'm down.
So you good with SAINTCON hallway?
Sounds great.
SAINTCON hallway? I don't know. I don't even know what we're going to call it. But let's just say it's SAINTCON hallway.
Great. Done.
Perfect. I guess let's just start. How many SAINTCONs have there been, Troy?
Are we recording this first of all?
Yeah, we're already recording. It's
Oh,
live.
well, good. I didn't see the Zoom record.
I don't need that. I've done AV before.
Oh, okay.
And Utah's not a two-party consent state. It's only one party. So
That's true. All right. So, how many SAINTCONs have there been? This year would have been our 19th conference. We're always 1 year behind the century mark year. Because the first one was technically in 2001, and we skipped a year during 2002, and then have had one every single year since then.
awesome. That's a lot of years. Two decades.
Right. Like 2021, the year that we hopefully come back from the pandemic, will be our 20th SAINTCON conference. Now, it wasn't always called SAINTCON, but I still count all of the Utah Saint conferences and security summits that it's gone by a number of names over the years, but I'll count those all as.
So you guys are just sitting around. You, I assume Jeremy, Kevin, I don't know. You guys are sitting around and you're like, I would really like to lose a month of my life every year to service in the InfoSec community.
Yeah, well, back in the olden days, it used to be only a month a year, right? That we had to sacrifice for this. Yeah, actually, it came from, it came from me working at the Utah Education Network, and really getting to see what the state of security was on a statewide scale when it comes to education, public entities and things like that. Man, things looked so terrible back then. I mean, this is only like in 2000, 2001. I mean, the 90s had happened, the internet revolution the internet was a thing. But it came from me seeing that, man, there's some institutions out there that don't even have firewalls and stuff. This isn't good. And so we pulled together that first conference as more just kind of a diplomatic way to say, hey, if you don't have a firewall in place, you might want to consider that,
Right.
kinds of things. And so that's where it kind of started. And I've always had passion to teach and to mentor folks in cybersecurity. I mean, it's always been a passion of mine since the very beginning. I mean, I started hacking things and messing around early on, and so it was second nature to just build a conference. It didn't start out as we've got this idea for a conference that we'll continue to do. It just started out as, hey, we want to sit down and talk with people about security things. And I think that it was the second conference that really knocked it out of the park when I had gone to my first commercial security training. It was a SANS training way back, early, like it was probably 2002, 2003.
So it was only like $5,000 then.
Yeah, it was actually it was probably like 2,500
I
bucks,
know.
plus travel or whatever. But here's the thing: I went there, and I'll tell you what, I thought I knew a whole lot about cybersecurity, but I went to this particular class, and it just blew my mind. And I remember that being kind of a huge turning point for me. And so I'll have to say straight up, sorry to Sands, but I plagiarized the heck out of that course and taught a lot of those fundamentals to all of these people in the state of Utah. Once we got back, to just open their eyes, I wanted them to have that same, deer in the headlight look uh, on how problematic and how bad things could be. And so, anyways, yeah, that's probably a much more long-winded answer than you were looking for, but that's where it kind of all came from. And from that point on, we just enjoyed getting together. It became a community really fast, and we've enjoyed that ever since.
Is security better now than it was then, even without firewalls?
You know, yes and no, maybe a little bit. I mean, the interesting thing is yeah, it's way better than it used to be in the way that we've got protections in place and people are educated enough to know that there are problems and things. But the scope of cybersecurity now is so broad that you focus on firewalls now, and man, you're not even scratching the surface. Like that's just border security. You're not talking about like data loss prevention and
These are things I think about at night. It's are we? Is it better? Because I like to think it is, but then I don't. Ransomware is projected to be over $20 billion next year with a B, and I'm
right.
like, maybe it was better with no firewall. I don't know. We're just getting wrecked anyway. like, I mean, you're right. It's the scope of how many people are 4 billion people on the internet with a B, like people, let alone bots and scripts and tools and IoT devices. I can't even count how many IoT devices I have myself, let alone times that by users across the globe. It's a daunting task.
Right. So I think we're better off than we were, but it's too broad for anybody to just control it all. So no, we're not better off either. I mean, there's just too many other things that we're getting owned on in this world. So yeah.
How many boxes have you had in your house and garage at a single point for SAINTCON?
Like boxes?
Yeah, boxes.
Oh man. Before or after we finished the basement? So I'll tell you what. I'll tell you both of the stories. So we finished our basement 2 or so years ago, and I'll tell you what. The basement became the storage warehouse for SAINTCON. And there was one year that my wife was like, "Hey, it's time to finish the basement. The kids are growing up. We need to separate things and stuff." And there was one last year after the basement was finished that we'd filled the thing, and it was topped. I mean, I don't know if did I ever have you over? Yeah, you're probably asking the question because you've seen the basement, but floor to ceiling, front to back, with rows that you could kind of navigate down a little bit on each side, full of SAINTCON stuff.
And and we're not talking. I mean, this is a Utah basement, so that's like 8,000 square feet or something, right?
Right, 2,400 maybe ish, right?
Still though.
But still, full basement full. But no, when you've got a conference that's lasted this long, man, we've inherited a lot of weird things and stuff. And it seems like we still need all of it. So every single year, you'll see some of that same old stuff be carted into a conference center or some room somewhere.
Right.
And we never make it smaller. I mean, the vault gets bigger, all these things.
Well,
the lead gets bigger.
Coronavirus is helping out this year. It's definitely going to be smaller.
Yeah, well, right. So with the virtual perspective of SAINTCON this year, it will be a little bit smaller. Meaning, I'm actually looking forward to this year not having to go down to our storage units and tearing it all out, right, organizing it all, and getting it all prepped and ready to go back to SAINTCON.
So that bodes the question: when do you derby con it and walk away?
Oh man, I'll tell you what.
I'm
Um,
sure you think about it every year at some point, like right a week before the con, like
I can't say that the thought hasn't crossed my mind or anything. But you know what, man, if I was gonna do it, man, I would have done it a long time ago. But for me, the community and what we do, there, I hate to sound like weird about it, but I'm prideful about what we do, like as a group and a community. And so I don't have any plans of, walking away or anything else. I'm hopeful that some of the things that have plagued some of the other conferences like DerbyCon, the politics, or maybe it's not politics, but the, you know, social issues and other things that come into play that kind of sometimes tear down that type of thing. I just hope that St. Con can weather all those issues and not have to, deal with big world problems, and that we can always be a moderate sized con that is just super beneficial and great to come and hang out with. And I think that as long as we keep the same group of committee, members of our organization and such, we'll be that way for a long time.
there's definitely a lot less drinking.
Yes, less drinking I think helps a little bit.
But it also, I go to ShmooCon and there's something about that environment we don't get as much in Utah too. So I mean, it's pros and cons. Yeah.
Right. I mean, it is a little bit different. I mean, I'm a huge participant in DEF CON. I've been helping out with that conference and involved ever since DEF CON 9. I've not, well, I missed 2 years in between 9 and 20. Yeah, I don't remember, but I've missed 2 years in all of that time. But yeah, it's a totally different culture. I would say that that it's always been equated as kind of the Mormon version of DEF CON. Like we don't drink a whole lot. Not that I'm opposed to it. But everybody can do what they want.
No,
And
there's definitely groups that do and they get together, but it's a lot less on scale
but they
than
do it themselves as their own little groups and
yeah.
communities, which is perfect and absolutely what we'd encourage. It's not the culture to be at the conference in the center, hanging out and going nuts and crazy kinds of things. But so I think that's one of the things that's a little bit unique about St. Con. Makes it a little bit different. Maybe it's the family friendly version of things a little bit, but we pride ourselves in that, and that's one of our values.
What's your favorite St. Con memory on the spot?
Favorite St. Con memory.
Over 19 years.
Oh man, I'll tell you what. If you're putting me right on the spot, it's PoolCon without a doubt.
And what is that? Because it sounds super super shady.
Yeah, it does sound super shady, but
Is this playing pool, billiards?
well, you know exactly.
I know, but we should have a billiards con. That'd be great.
That would be cool. So PoolCon for the uninitiated is where after every single day during the actual conference, the committee gets together, and you'd think that, oh man, like you get together, you do a meeting or whatever. No, we get together out at a pool at a non-disclosed location. We're not going to invite everybody, although people find us, and that's cool, I guess. But that's where we get to share stories, and that's where we get to just hang out and let our hair down. And man, we have the greatest time because we come up with the craziest ideas for, oh man, next year wouldn't it be great if kind of things. And then that's where a lot of the genesis idea or the ideas come from that we put into SaintCon. And man, it's just so awesome to hang out with such a group of intelligent, capable, passionate people, and you can just see the authenticity in them when it comes to their involvement in what they're doing with SaintCon. So
Perfect.
that's my favorite part.
All right.
Is hanging out.
Counter to that, what's the worst thing that's ever happened on a pen test?
Worst thing that's ever happened on a pen test?
Yeah.
Oh, you probably have a better story than I do. Let's see. Are we talking about pen tests that you've been part of with us, or okay? So here's a real quick story.
This is your hallway. We're getting to know Troy here. So, what any pen test you've been a part of that maybe you can't share certain details, but maybe it's like the overall this thing.
Okay, so I'll tell you what. I wouldn't say it's like the worst thing that's happened. It was the most interesting thing that's happened on a pen test. But we often do physical security type of pen testing as part of our general pen test. We'll go and we'll beat down all of the computers and systems and applications and things. But we sometimes, it's fun for us to do physsec stuff. And so we'll try and break into buildings and data centers and other things like that with often great success on our part. There was this one time at an organization who will remain completely nameless for obvious reasons, but that we kind of got caught doing what we were doing by one of the police officers or security guards, we'll say, that was responsible for this organization. And man, they were not having any of it, man. They held short of like drawing guns and things like that, but it was shady for a little while. And one of the things we carry around with us is a piece of paperwork, always the get out of jail free card kind of thing. And we had only instituted that a few pen tests before this issue or this particular incident, but man, this guy wouldn't even let us like show him paperwork that was like we were allowed to do what we were doing and stuff. But we didn't even do anything that crazy. What we were doing is we had walked through and unlocked, but somebody in that office space got a little bit nervous about what was going on and called these guys. And at that point, we weren't successful in getting where we wanted to get, and we left. And man, this individual kind of tracked us down and gave us the what's for. That's the only weird thing. Everything else, I don't know.
Well, at least it wasn't in a Texas judicial system, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, that most certainly.
All right. Well, on the spot, who's been your favorite employee you've ever had? I'm just kidding.
Favorite employee?
I'm just trolling right there. Any any Corona coaster projects you've been doing?
Yes. I've been working on the Jupiter badge, the Jupiter mini badge for 2020.
So in your free time, I guess free time's a loose term in coronavirus time. In your time where you don't have to commute to and from work, you're like, I'm going to make more SAINTCON badge stuff.
Yeah, well, I've most certainly spent a bunch of time doing that. I wish I had this stuff out in front of me. I'd actually even show you, but I don't have it out. Actually, if we're talking about the commute time, oh, dude, that's sleeping time for me, man. Right. That's a whole hour of the day extra sleep that I get. That's amazing. But no, yeah, I always mess with SAINTCON stuff, and I'm always thinking about SAINTCON stuff.
Yeah, you don't stop at all.
Well, you've worked with me before. You know how that goes. Yeah. It's like every time we talk about a cool idea, it's like, oh man, what can we do at SAINTCON that integrates that?
You didn't even know that we're having this call, and you're wearing a SAINTCON hat and a SAINTCON shirt. So
you just caught me on a good day. Actually, so here that's kind of a funny story too, because I've got more SAINTCON shirts obviously than anybody should probably have. And that's pretty much all I wear during coronavirus. I mean, when I'm going into the office on normal days and things, I wear a pretty nice button-down shirt, some jeans or something, that business casual kinds of things. But no, listen, it's shorts and
don't stand up. Don't stand up. We're good.
No, that's okay. You don't. But no, SAINTCON t-shirts. I've got one from every single year that we've ever done a t-shirt. So.
Awesome. Well, I don't want to make these super long, so anything else you want to add or share?
Let's see. Best boss you've ever had?
Oh, jeez. Actually, in hindsight, good question. In hindsight, it's actually this guy I super hated. He pushed me so hard, and every time I kept giving him more and more, he pushed me harder, and I thought about quitting that job. And I remember I went to a training. It wasn't an InfoSec training, but I went to a training and I just aced it. I was training everybody else there. I was becoming a trainer at the training. And I was like, I'm good at my job and screw that guy, right? And a few years later, I had the realization that dude really just made me level up in life. Like he just added so much and forced so much on me that at the time I hated it. But I was a much better way more productive, could get more done than most people in that period of time because somebody pushed me, right? So that's probably my favorite boss.
All I heard was blah blah blah.
Troy Jester, I call him Boss Man. His name was Troy.
That's cool. Okay, then since you've given me the time, on the spot, best favorite security quote.
Oh, for me?
Yeah.
Oof. I don't know. Security's a dumpster fire. Like, it's bad. I mean, there's orgs doing it right, but there's not a lot of them.
It's tough, right? I mean, it's too broad, man.
I go in some of these giant orgs and help them with stuff, and there's like FTP to Russia and stuff. Like, it's a mess. The world is a mess. It's kind of scary. And then some of these places that like I run my own stuff through, and I'm like, just please work on this because like that's my data and my kids' data. I'm like, just work on it. I maybe I should be optimistic. Maybe coronavirus has me a little down at the moment, but I mean, there's a lot. I mean, I think InfoSec maybe is a little too narrow. It's broad, the art of war type of stuff. There's always these, means and time. There's way, but there's logical defenses that block lots of stuff too. But it is kind of a dumpster fire. How many critical patches this last week, and how many?
Oh man,
it's been grueling, right? These sysadmins getting beat up, just being told that critical patch today, critical patch tomorrow, critical patch again. Everything's just massively 10 out of 10 CVEs and.
Right. I mean, a lot of the vulnerabilities lately and the exploits and things that have been released have been for vulnerable, CVSS score 9 or higher kinds of things. I mean, we're getting inundated with all these major things out there. It is crazy. It's hard to keep up, but we like to do it. We like to help people figure it out.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Well, thanks for joining me in the SAINTCON hallway, whether it be virtual or on-prem whenever we get there. And, we'll see you in the hallway, I guess. Thanks.
All right, man. Hey, appreciate it. We'll talk to you later.
All right, bye.